tonight. So in addition to being an organizer with the Mass Teachers Association, let's hear it for MTA. Woo! I am the proud only female president of a Greater Southeastern Massachusetts Labor Council, the only labor council in the state of Massachusetts with a female president. I am happy to be your MC tonight. Thank you for being here. So this is our first time here. This is the Kilburn Mills. This is a place where we had union workers work their asses off. They sweat, they bled, they did everything that union workers do. And this is an example of what we can do with one of those mills, where we redo them into something different, where they continue to live in our city. And we're proud to be here today, although we do look forward to the days that we are back at the university hosting this event. But until then, we're happy to be here at the Kilburn Mills. We want to thank the Kilburn Mills staff and all that they did to make tonight happen for us. It is a beautiful place with a beautiful view. There's a view of the water outside. If you haven't seen it, you should take a look at it. It's beautiful. So thank you for being here tonight. We are happy to be back in person after a very long pandemic. And we've missed seeing your faces, and we look forward to putting you to work every single day. Next on deck is Kim Wilson, the director of the Labor Ed Center.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to see us all back together. I'm going to start off by introducing Chancellor Mark Fuller. He has been leading the university for 20 months. However, he was just inaugurated last week, so he's fresh off the inauguration. He's been a passionate advocate for public education and has shown his commitment to UMass Dartmouth and the community. So I would like to welcome Mark Fuller.
I have severe doubts about this microphone, I got to tell you. But we will continue in style. So thank you, thanks Kim. It's great to be here this evening. I'm delighted to be here with all of you. I'd like to thank our legislators here with us tonight, our local community leaders in the room, our honorees. I think the microphone is working better for me, okay? It's because I did the inauguration thing. I've got a lot of experience now speaking to microphones. Our honorees, Sean O'Brien, Yvonne Toby, and members of the Cosecha movement, our faculty, staff, and students in attendance tonight, and Kimberly Wilson in the Labor Education Center for putting on this 47th annual awards event. This won't go for more than 20 or 25 minutes, so just hang in there. My mom always taught me, keep your remarks short. I've talked at length about the responsibility that UMass Dartmouth has to this region. UMass Dartmouth is one of the largest employers on the South Coast, and we're proud that more than 93% of our employees are part of collective bargaining units. We actually have nearly 1,000 employees now that are union members, and that's really quite amazing. And we have what I think of as a very collaborative relationship with our labor unions, and that's what really enabled our campus to get through the pandemic. I don't know if you know how difficult higher education was hit during this pandemic, but we gathered together, and I must admit that I came in midstream on this, but that the labor unions, and I know that a number of our labor union leaders are here tonight, really banded together, and we prevented layoffs at the university when a lot of the other campuses did not do that. And so it was really a remarkable achievement for our campus. It's also why we had such broad support for, even the healthcare things that we put in. We were one of the safest places on the South Coast. While the rates of the pandemic infections were sort of very high around us, we were sort of this island of vaccinated individuals that were really protecting one another with masks, et cetera. So it was really, again, a big team effort on the part of the entire campus. We also just recently did a huge climate survey to figure out how we can enhance the climate of the survey for faculty, staff, and students. And our unions played a key part on the leadership of some of those committees, and some of those members are in the room here tonight. So we've had a very, very supportive relationship, and I've never met, and I mean this, I've never met a more dedicated group of faculty and staff than we have at UMass Dartmouth, and 1,000 of them are our union members. So thank you for that. I went to the dermatologist today, this is an aside, and she goes, "What exactly does a chancellor do?" And, you know, I was asked that question when I was a dean back at UMass Amherst, and it's a difficult question to answer. There's a little bit of a jack of all trades. And so, but one of my key responsibilities is bragging about the university, so I'm going to take a moment just to do that. We're a public research university and the only one on the South Coast. Now, what does that mean? That means that we not only educate students, but we do the research that drives economic development in the region, and we involve our students in that so they can enhance the lives of their families and their communities. We're number 2 in the Commonwealth for social mobility. What does that mean? It means that that's the amount of change, the amount of delta that we make on families' lives. So we're number 2 in the Commonwealth, and we're number 69 in the nation in terms of the impact that we have on our students. 41% of our students are Pell Grant eligible. 41%, 37% of our students are people of color, and nearly 50% of our students are first-generation college students, and that was what I was. I did public education my entire life, all the way through. My daughters are in public education, and I'm a strong believer in what we do to enhance lives. So I am delighted to be here honoring the guests that we have this evening, acknowledging the great work that we do in the Labor Education Center, and I would like to thank all of you for being here this evening, and I turn it back over to our very enthusiastic MC.
All I can say is we're excited to be here live today and not on Zoom. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim Wilson.
Hi, everybody. So as we sit in this gorgeous room and look around, it has been 110 years since this building came up. And the workers, as Lisa had referenced, came here and did not have great conditions. We know there was child labor, there was horrific health and safety issues, and of course, low pay. But as the century progressed, I've learned through Cindy Rodrigues, a former Labor Council president and friend of the Labor Center, that there were many union factories in this building. New Bedford Thread, Elko Dress, Starline Dress Company. Those were places where people were able to have a better life due to being members of the International Ladies Garment Workers and Act Two. However, we know in this building there was also the Michael Bianco factory down that end. Back in 2007, 361 immigrant workers were arrested by ICE, spread out over the country, and many were deported. In that factory, there were workers in terrible health and safety conditions, horrible wages, and not even able to get bathroom breaks. So that also happened in this building. However, immigrant organizing came out of that, and CCT, the Worker Center, came out of that tragedy back in '07, as well as other immigrant rights organizing like Cosecha, which we'll be hearing more about later. So as trade unionists and community activists, we know that change only comes through struggle. And we're proud here in New Bedford that Frederick Douglass lived here as his first home after escaping slavery. Many of you might know his most famous quote, at least in terms of people I know, which is, "Power concedes nothing without demand. It never has, and it never will." So I'd like to give a brief overview of the work of the center. And I'd like to start by thanking our university sponsors who pay the salaries of Camila and myself. And that support has been there for 47 years now. That's how long the Labor Education Center has been in operation. And we fund our operating budget through events, through the annual dinner here, and through the UMass President's Office. So we're very grateful for that support. So our strongest supporter in the labor movement was not able to attend tonight, and that is Steve Tolman, who's a trustee of UMass, and who has been there to support all of the 4 UMass labor programs across the state. So I want to give a shout out to the building trades over this way. Every single year, without fail, they support this event. I don't know how we would have the stability that we have without the support of the trades. And I think that they don't get enough recognition, at least from the podium. So this year, I want to really thank all of you for your support. So what a night that we're going to have. We are so deeply honored to have Teamsters International President Sean O'Brien with us. So as some of you may know, UPS is going to have a big contract campaign next year, and that campaign is going to affect all of us, every worker in this country. And I think we're so lucky to have Teamsters locals in this area who have been inspired by President O'Brien, and we have a big group of Teamsters over here. And then we have Local 251 and a few other people scattered around the room from the Teamsters. And we all benefit from the courage of Sean for a new labor movement. So I'd like to start with some slides, as you can see. We have the first slide is the staff of the center. You could go back one. And so I just wanted to mention about the folks that have done the work to be here tonight. Camila Rivers, who will be speaking later. So the work of the center has been more and more focused on students, especially since Camille joined us 5 years ago. But that wasn't joining the movement, because as long as I've known Camille, 25 years, he's been doing organizing, community organizing, and to have him with us at the center has just really been a game changer. Ida Almeida has handled all the details of tonight. She's way in the back there. So, as you can imagine, the level of detail needed for an event like this is kind of off the charts, and she has really been there. Jim Snow, anyone here? So Jim has been the rock of the center. His wise counsel has seen us through many situations. And I would like to also recognize Lisa Jockum in the back. Lisa has actually been with the university for 32 years. And the work that she's done to build WEP has been tremendous. And it's just so great to have her here. So the shoulders that we stand on are the work of earlier labor leaders and activists who built the center, and especially our founder, Arnold M. Dubin. And we're grateful for the ongoing support of his family. I'd like to point out the Dubin family are right here. And on your way out, on the right-hand side, is the family, and the 2 kids that you see there are these very attractive adults at this table. So people behind the scenes don't always get the recognition that they deserve. So the next slide is for our graphic designer who makes us look good and put together all of these ads. Again, a lot of detailed work, and she does amazing work every year. So let's talk about Jose Soler, the former director of the center. Jose was taken from us at the beginning of the pandemic. I worked with him for 17 years. He's my mentor, and he moved the center to do more work, more deeply in the community, and especially around immigrant rights and racial justice. So continuing his legacy is a new scholarship through the Labor Council. In the first year, Zoe Rosa, whose father is here, and mother, definitely, father and mother are here. And it's just so heartwarming that his legacy continues. It's something he cared about so much, public education. So those of you in the room who remember Kathy Cassavant, we have lost her over the past year, and she is from this area. She's from Unite here, and she was a leader, in Unite and the state Fed, as secretary treasurer, and then working with the AFL-CIO in DC. So part of my work is with the Women's Institute for Leadership Development. She was a giant in that organization, and she even became the director in her retirement. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the Workers' Education Program. And this is a great opportunity because I think many of you here may not know about this program. And I want to briefly touch on some key parts of it. Tonight we are joined by some students who are at the table here. So the program started by bringing English classes to mostly Portuguese immigrants in the factories, like this facility, to have an opportunity for students to learn English through a union designed and facilitated program. And so now we have in the Star Stores, downtown New Bedford, 170 students who are learning English and 80 students who are working towards their GED and taking the HiSET test. So under Lisa and the staff, of which we have Paula and Joanne with us, Lisa has written another grant for $1 million a year, and we're so proud of the Workers Ed program. So I'd like to just say a couple more things about Camilo, because we will be hearing from him a little bit later. He is the linchpin of our work with students, and so looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that. And here's a couple of pictures from students that we had in the fall who designed a training for other students. They're students in the Crime and Justice program, and designed a workshop with Camille's help for the community. So next, I'd like to mention an initiative of the center that we've had now for a few years. It's called South Coast Working. The Dubin family has been the prime sponsor and the funder of this project. And I hope everybody will have a chance to tune in to hear some of the episodes. Not only has the Dubin family financially supported the project, but Faye, Steve, and Isaac, who are sitting here, are active members of the committee. So some of the topics we've taken on are worker issues and commuter rail, the gig economy, nursing home safety during COVID, building diversity in the trades, and the last one is about unions in the Postal Service. And we have with us tonight Peter Arsenault, who was a key person interviewed. So please check it out. You can find the series through Spotify, and you can also go through our website to find the episodes. The next one's going to be around youth, students, and organizing. and that will be out like in the next 2 months or so. So we also have an undergraduate journal on work, labor, and social movements. There are copies here, I think at the info table, but Camille has done the work to recruit UMass Dartmouth students to be published in the journal, which has done the labor programs across the state. I'd like to talk very briefly about the annual legislative breakfast. So Lisa Lemieux behind me and the Labor Council are the key co-sponsors for this event, and we've had 100 labor and community activists and many legislators that have attended. So a couple other things to mention. I'm proud to be on the advisory board of Building Pathways South, of which we'll be hearing more later tonight. It has been a compliment to my work as a representative on the UMass Building Authority Compliance Working Group. So a couple of the other programs is we've done a spring conference on contingent work. We did a program about women's labor history where students took on the persona of women in social justice history, and we were thrilled to have workers' education program students and undergrads play some of those roles with live music. We plan to do that again this year. So, our mural project. Who knows the Frederick Douglass mural in downtown New Bedford? Do it. So, that was a Labor Education Center project back in 2001. So, we're going to be touching it up. Every few years it needs some work. But we do have posters available tonight. And I want people to know that the education about it continues on. I was part of a book chapter written by a faculty member at Emmanuel College, and the chapter was called Transnational Solidarity, African American and Irish Intersections Commemorating Frederick Douglass. So that work continues. I don't know if you've maybe seen it in some publications. I know it's been in the Guardian newspaper, many newspapers across the country, as well as many wedding photos being taken in front of it. So yeah, it's holding up, and we're gonna touch it up. So on that same topic of social movements and art, I want to discuss the Workers' Art Center. And so we offer programs at AHA, Art, Culture, let's see, I think I got that wrong, Art, History, and Architecture. So it's a monthly program, it's Arts and Culture Night. And so it's been a couple years that we've been putting on programs, and the co-sponsors are Labor Education Center, Labor Council, and the Teamsters, Local 59 co-sponsors. So we offer visual art programs and music, and our ringleader is Teamster Dan Brush. And he'll be singing at the very end of the program, so stay tuned to hear from Dan Brush. And actually up here, I have information about the second year of our poster contest that's part of WAC. The winning poster is in the room. I'm sure Lisa will point out right there, Workers Unite. So we're ready for year number 2. There's a lot of text there, but there are some flyers, and there's a QR code to be able to put your work in. And there's, we have a nice financial award for people who win. More importantly, though, the artwork is going to become part of the stationery of the Labor Council and will be made into posters. So stay tuned. Next item up for bid is social media. It's kind of tough to see up here, but we have over 1,000 followers on Facebook. Very proud to say. We just started a Twitter and a Instagram, just getting with the times here, and we have a depository of all of our programming. If you'd like to see past speeches at banquets, you can find all of that on our YouTube page. So just add us to what you have, and there's some of the places, and sure hope to get more followers. We're really trying to get up to speed on that. All right, so wrapping it up here, steering committee. We have many members in this room. These are people that get together with us once a month to plan the programming and advise the center. And then once a year, our advisory board meets, which is a much larger group, and they also meet if anything comes up that we need help with. So finally, thanks to all of you. Thanks to our sponsors. We're very grateful to have a nice long list this year. And it's due to this support that we're able to continue on. And all of you in the labor movement and the community that have participated, come to our programmatic events, and to be in the community, which is our goal. So I've spoken enough. It's time for dinner, which will be a buffet in the hallway. But also, as you head out, take a look at the posters in this room. And Stephen Lewis, who was an officer of the Service Employees Local 509 for a long time, he's right back there, Stephen Lewis. He is a labor poster connoisseur, and he brings all of these posters up with him, I believe from Malden, from north of Boston. So please look around. I believe there are some Teamster-themed posters. There are themes around women's rights, and other topical themes. So take a look at those, and take a look at our sponsors and the ads that we have from them. So I'm going to wrap it up, and we're going to start the buffet. And thanks for your patience and your attention to learn a little bit more about the Labor Center. And our program will be after dinner, and I'm very thrilled to hear from Sean O'Brien, from Yvonne Toby, and from Kosecha. So thanks, everyone, and head on out for the buffet.
So our buffet is actually going to be called by the Kilburn Mills staff. When they call your table, that's when you can go out. Our next presentation is going to be introduced by Camila Rivers.
So we're living in pivotal times. Pro-union sentiment among youth is higher than in decades. Meanwhile, workers who organize are under attack from coffee shops to Amazon. Workers are organizing at new levels across many sectors during the pandemic and standing up for higher wages, better benefits, and better working conditions. Meanwhile, income inequality and wealth has become even more concentrated. The movement for Black Lives has helped to spur the largest racial reckoning since the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s. Meanwhile, Black people and people of color are still under attack on a daily basis by the police, in prisons, on our borders, and on our streets. We've seen powerful strikes led by mostly women working as nurses in hospitals and as teachers in schools. Meanwhile, attacks on reproductive freedom have intensified. Climate justice movements and organizing for a just transition, often led by workers and indigenous people, are building power. Meanwhile, corporations are pushing us back toward more pollution. Without labor education, more people will languish in misinformation that is not based in facts, leading people to advocate for positions against their and our own self-interests. The need for more labor education and engaging our students and our universities in more communities is more important now than ever. Otherwise, those who seek to blame the poor, blame immigrants, and use racialized scapegoats will continue to confuse working class people. Our students help to amplify our impact in our communities and hold up the UMass Dartmouth mission statement, which tasks us to serve as a catalyst for economic, social, cultural transformation on global, national, and regional scales. Our work with students help us actualize the UMass Dartmouth vision statement that commits us to inclusion, access, and community engagement. Your support and collaboration helps us fulfill UMass Dartmouth's mission and vision. I want to thank all of the unions and community organizations that have mentored students that we work with year on year. Mentored some of our interns that have gotten course credit, mentored during our now every year summer solidarity program, bringing in students to your struggles in workplaces and in community organizations to make a difference and increase impact for our communities, right? These are our neighborhoods, these are our workplaces that if we work together, we can build worker justice and improve racial justice and gender justice in our communities. And this is a personal issue, like the Chancellor mentioned, for most of our students who are students of color, first generation, and we've seen time and time again, when we've connected our students to labor leaders, it's reciprocal, right? Like, often we're doing this work in communities and workplaces year after year, and students are as inspiring to longtime labor leaders as our students are inspired by you. And it's very important to build our power together. And we've talked a lot of us in the labor movement, about how it's a historic high of sentiment, right, of youth. From decades now, most youth support the idea of unions, right? But we're here to say that we're all going to have to be creative in how we make that possible, because although there's a lot of sentiment, we want to turn that sentiment into action, into real solidarity. And you here have been part of that, part of mentoring students, helping us host students during our Summer Solidarity program. This last year was the first year we had an artist in residence who interviewed some folks in the room, conducting oral histories. But really what I want to do is allow for some time and space for you to hear from one of our students, who I met because he was already involved in a local struggle in trying to unionize a window manufacturing operation in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. I met him through EWOC, which is the Emergency Worker Organizing Committee, that's been trying to figure out how do we build power and mentorship amongst ununionized workers. And I'm happy to say that Gabe Johnson, was able to connect with Local 251 of the Teamsters. Gabe worked at Amazon in the past in Fall River, and now it's not just about reading the headlines about what's happening at Amazon. It's about actually contributing to a local struggle that will improve wages and working conditions for our relatives, our neighbors, and our communities. So without further ado, I want to introduce Gabe Johnson to share with you from a youth perspective about what youth are thinking about unions right now and the struggle forward. So thank you so much for supporting our students. Thank you for supporting all the work that is done at the Worker Education Program and taking time to work with the many students that we've sent your way.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabriel. I'm the aforementioned youth. Before I start, I just want to thank Camilo and Kim for taking me into the Labor Ed Center, because you guys found me at the time where I feel was really critical, where I had so much energy, so much passion to get something done about unionization and worker injustice, and finally gave me an outlet where that stuff could be expressed. So thank you to you too. Nervous, so if I stutter, oh well. So, youth in the labor movement. When I get told it's surprising that such a young person is interested in labor organizing, unions and such, it honestly surprises me. We get fed the life roadmap from a very young age. Stay in school, get a degree, so you can get better opportunities than I had. I grew up with a poor single mom and overall poor immigrant family. Watching everybody run themselves ragged just for us to be a single misfortune away from homelessness, I readily took to what they said to heart. Yet when me and my peers finished the first third of our guaranteed good life and getting our diplomas, the world started to show us true colors. We entered the workforce wholeheartedly, either to support ourselves while attending school or entering fully because school frankly wasn't an option. Nobody was worried because the majority of us had worked baby's first job during high school at some place or another so that we could have our own money. but we soon found out that our money wasn't ours at all. Tuition, bills, rent, gas, insurance, food, cell service, the internet that you need to even operate in this day and age. Very quickly, everybody was working just to pay bills. Life became a cycle of clock in, clock out, sleep, maybe do something slightly fun, but don't forget you got to work at 8 hours as soon as you clock out if you include a full night's sleep. Bad enough that the non-stop nature of capitalism had eaten up our hard-earned money, but also our time together, our passions, our happiness. We were barely even people, just machines for working. You ask almost any person my age, they can tell you right off the bat that the state of work in this country is exploited. Honestly, in some way, we already knew before we started working. You get us going, we rant about how garbage our job treats us and how we don't love them because they don't love us, so we're ready to up and leave for somewhere better. See, the youth like me already has all the fire and desire to shake things up in the workforce because we have not much to lose, everything to gain, and a short fuse because we're not going to let you treat us the way our parents did, even though they had no choice. Whoops. I'm sorry about that, I'm sorry. We really need to be aware of our own power, that we can force change through concerted movement, and we are forced to be reckoned with. Even more so because we live in a world of information at our fingertips, and it's easy to find like-minded individuals to inspire us and push us further to fight for what we deserve. We're seeing it with Amazon, Starbucks, Trader Joe's, UPS. Those places have a fairly young workforce, and yet they know enough is enough because there have been too many generations of relentless exploitation. Hell, even I was caught up in the hype. I was in the early stages of starting a union at a window factory right here in Dartmouth. I was working while taking the semester off, and in that factory, mostly poor immigrant workers like myself, I saw the same thing happening. When first making talks of unionization, the older employees were skeptical, scared, or accepting of the status quo. My own aunt, who found me the job, even told me that these people have too much to lose, so they cannot take that risk. It was really my coworker, a young father of 26, who matched my fire to make a change because we were tired of watching our people exploited and didn't want it happening to us or future generations. Now I'm helping to strengthen the worker power within my work at the Labor Ed Center. I'm getting to work with inspiring unions like the Teamsters Local 251 to try and improve workplace conditions at places where I've been a worker, such as the Amazon and Fall River. So to me, the youth entering the labor organizing movement is a natural conclusion in this course of capitalism. We've seen the failure of hard work and pulling yourself by your bootstraps because no one worked harder than our families. Yeah, we're all broke as hell. So we're stepping up for our families who couldn't and taking back the money, benefits, and work culture that should have been around from the start. All we need is to be pointed in the right direction and given some guidance, and things just might turn out well. So I'm working with other students at the Labor Ed Center to make a positive difference, such as Tatiana Famar, Jordan Pierre, and our very own Ali Natalie. We say up, up with liberation, down, down with exploitation, up, up with education, and down, down with disinformation. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it for Gabe Johnson. Woo! Yeah, baby! That was good. That was really good. So, I've said this a couple times. I'm going to say it again. I'm one of the proudest Labor Council presidents in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And, one of the things that makes me proud is that I understood early in life when people like Jose Soler taught me to pay attention and to think critically, and reminded me that the issues of workers across the nation, or the issues of workers in Boston, are not the same as the issues of workers in Southeastern Massachusetts. We are different. We have different issues. We have different needs. And we need people to represent those workers. And I am so proud that the unions who are here in the room do that each and every day. And it's not an easy job, but we do it because we believe in the process, because we believe in the labor movement. And I remind people every day, when I was 18 years old and I moved to the state of Massachusetts and I went to work at AT&T in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Fairhaven, it wasn't so fair. They weren't so fair to the workers, right? It reminded me that unions make a difference, that we actually can improve working conditions for workers. And when we improve working conditions for workers, we improve conditions for their family members, for their children, and everybody involved. And so this is my time to take personal privilege as a Labor Council president to say that if your union is not involved in the Greater Southeastern Massachusetts Labor Council, you should be, because there is no better labor council in the state of Massachusetts than the Greater Southeastern Massachusetts Labor Council. We work hard every day on behalf of our members. And you know what? It's never good enough, it's never enough, but we do the best that we can, and we're going to continue to do the best that we can. And there's lots of you here that make us shine, and I appreciate you and I love you. But it's times like this that we get an opportunity to recognize people who shine in the labor movement, which is a thankless job, right? What we do is hard, and people expect things from us. So in 2022, this marks the 35th year that this Labor Council, which for 30 years my predecessor, Cynthia Rogers, I applaud you for being here today. I love you with all my heart. She mentored me, she loved me, until this day continues to do that. But it was this Labor Council that said we're going to recognize people who do the work. Right, and so we decided that we were going to present a President's Award at this event in our partnership with the Labor Ed Center. And the President's Award is here to recognize union members who contribute outstanding service to the labor movement locally here in Southeastern Massachusetts. And the President of the Greater Southeastern Massachusetts Labor Council chooses a member, and they have no idea who they are, who's going to be honored for their work, their dedication, their commitment to the work of the region and the labor movement. And often, you know, it just happens, right? Day-to-day work of our members goes unnoticed, but the labor movement is extremely vital, right? Active and effective because of the work of these unsung heroines and heroes. Those who attend the meetings, which is not fun, right? Most of us work all day in our day jobs, and then we have to go to what? A labor council meeting, a committee meeting, right? It's hard and it's long. But there are folks who do it every single month, month in and month out, to make hard decisions about what we're going to do, what we're going to support, what we're not going to support, what is in the best interest of our members, what are the events that we should be participating in or not participating in. There are sisters and brothers that will get the recognition of their peers and their leaders through this award, and the honorees never know who they are, who's been chosen until this night, which is really exciting for me, because I'm the president. So please join me and the Labor Education Center and the Greater Southeastern Massachusetts Labor Council in congratulating this year's recipient of the President's Award. Is going to go to none other than Dan Brush, Teamsters Local 59. So Dan Brush, this guy comes out of nowhere. Come up, Dan. This guy comes out of nowhere. He goes, I want to be a member of the Labor Council. And we're like, who's this guy? But he's like, I love the labor movement. I love to fight. I love to win. But this guy didn't just come in saying, I want to be a member. He said, how can I help? And he's helped us create the Workers' Arts Center, where every single month we contribute to the city of New Bedford and its arts and history and cultural environment, where we bring unionized or non-unionized people to come share their art, their music, their poetry, their heart, and they come into our Labor Council and they tell us their stories. And, you know, we want you to participate, and we want you to share this with your members, because we know deep down in every union, there are members, right? They don't want to do like the union thing. They don't want to do grievances and contract negotiations, but maybe they want to do music and art and poetry, and that is real. And they tell their stories. We had a fisherman who came in, right? Who told us stories about how he went out on the boats in New Bedford, and he told us his story, addictions and otherwise, and how he had to give up his family. And it's real. Those are the stories of our members. And so we want you to share this opportunity with our members, with your members, so that they can come contribute in whatever way they can, whether it's art or history or a union meeting, or if it's just to have a beer with us and break bread. But Dan, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you contribute. As a teacher who helps educate our students, our leaders of tomorrow, we know that your life is hard and that you give and give and give. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I see it, I feel it, I hear it, and I thank you. And I hope that you stay with us and that you figure out how to help us bring more of our brothers and sisters into our Labor Council. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I am so humbled, and I'm a union guy. I've been a Teamster for decades. I love my local. I love any union member, no matter who you are, what local you're in, or any working person. And it's just such a great honor, and thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations. All right, next on dock is our Dora Bastrich Award that's going to be presented by Lisa Nauer. Nope, you're good.
Good evening. I'm going to be doing this bilingually to make sure that the organization that we are honoring with this award can understand this. Voy a hacer esta presentación bilingüe para que ustedes de la organización que estamos reconociendo pueden entender lo que estamos diciendo aquí. I was trying to translate, but Gabe, you were talking too fast, and I couldn't do it in Spanish. So, estaba tratando de traducir, pero uno se estaba hablando muy rápido, entonces era un poco difícil. This award is something that I take a tremendous amount of honor in giving, and very humbly, as the daughter and granddaughter of union members and a union member myself. Dar este premio me da mucho honor como la nieta y la hija de miembros de sindicatos, y yo también miembro de sindicato. Dora Bastrich was a child of French-Canadian immigrants in New Bedford. She began working in the textile industry, probably in a building very similar to the one that we are in today. La señora en cuyo nombre damos este premio era hija de inmigrantes franco-canadienses que trabajó como costurera, quizás en un edificio igual que lo que estamos ahora. And she rose through the ranks. She started out as a shop steward and rose to leadership positions, but really understood that a blow to one is a blow to all, and that fighting for oneself was really fighting for everyone. Ella subió, comenzó como costurera y trabajó en varios niveles de los sindicatos, subió desde el nivel más bajo hasta el nivel de liderazgo. Y entonces ella reconoció que luchar por uno mismo era luchar para el colectivo. Entonces, So this award recognizes grassroots leadership. Este premio reconoce el liderazgo de base. And this year, the Labor Center decided to recognize the effort that went behind the passage of the Work and Family Mobility Act in May of this year. El Centro Laboral decidió este año reconocer el trabajo para el acta de movilidad de trabajo y familia que fue pasado por los legisladores de Massachusetts en el mayo de este año. We understand that, how many people here, I'm just going to ask a question, how many people took public transportation to get here today? I'm waiting to see if there are any hands. Who took public transportation to get here today? ¿Quién vino aquí en transporte público? Nadie. Entonces, so we understand the importance of, and who goes to work by public transportation in South Coast? One person, two people. Entonces, estoy preguntando quién vino aquí en transporte público, quién va a su trabajo en transporte público, casi nadie. So we understand that having driver's licenses is a working class issue. Las licencias para conducir son un asunto del clase laboral. This is a working class issue. And we recognize the effort of many organizations that helped. The legislature did not wake up one morning and decide to give workers, undocumented immigrant workers, the right to have licenses. They didn't have like an epiphany on the way to the State House. There were organizations like Cosecha, the group that we are recognizing, that were out there in the rain, in the snow, keeping a vigil at the State House and putting pressure on the legislature to pass that law. Entonces no fue que los legisladores se despertó un día y decidió otorgar licencias a los migrantes sin documentos. Entonces fue el trabajo de organizaciones como Cosecha, que estuvieron bajo lluvia, bajo nieve, todos los días haciendo vigilias frente a la Casa Estatal para que los legisladores hicieron su trabajo, so that the legislators would do their job. Rolando Oliva is going to accept this award on behalf of Cosecha. Cosecha is a immigrant rights movement that began in 2015. It is dedicated to nonviolence, to grassroots action, and to empowerment from the base up. Cosecha es una organización que se fundó en el año 2015, es una organización de base, es descentralizado, entonces y reconoce el liderazgo de base. I've known Rolando, we were saying, for almost 15 years. We met around the time of the Michael Bianco raid. Nosotros nos conocimos así como 15 años en la redada de Michael Bianco. And I am very, very honored to give this award to him. And Rolando is now going to speak, and I will translate for him. Voy a dar este premio a Rolando. Él va a aceptar por parte de la organización y yo le voy a traducir.
Muchas gracias. En principio,
Thank you.
En principio al Centro de Educación Laboral por habernos seleccionado para poder recibir este premio. Lo recibimos con mucho honor porque sabemos también que el Centro Laboral es un centro de trabajadores dentro de la universidad.
So we are very thankful to the Labor Education Center for selecting us to give this award, and we understand that the Labor Education Center is a center for workers.
Después de 20 años logramos que en Massachusetts pasara una ley que permita a las familias indocumentadas tener una licencia para manejar.
So we are, after 20 years, the state of Massachusetts has passed a law that permits the families of undocumented workers to have a license to drive.
Ya no voy a mencionar lo que dijo Lisa, ¿verdad?, sobre todo el sacrificio que hicimos para lograr que esta ley pasara.
So I want to emphasize what Lisa said about the sacrifices that we made so that this law would be passed.
Pero sí quiero agradecer a todas las personas que han apoyado para que esta ley pues pudiera pasar en Massachusetts, desde la coalición, desde las diferentes organizaciones, como Cosecha, que estuvimos al frente. Yo les voy a pedir a mis compañeros que se paren.
So I want to thank all of the organizations that worked to pass this law, all the coalitions, the alliances, and to ask my companions to stand up to be recognized.
Día y noche estuvimos en las calles y estuvimos incluso hasta en una huelga de hambre adentro de la Casa del Estado por 3 días.
So day and night, we were out in the streets, and in fact, we had a hunger strike inside the State House for 3 days.
Fue tanto el sacrificio que al final logramos que la ley pasara, ¿verdad? Pero apareció una piedra en el camino.
So for all the sacrifice, the law passed, but now there is a stone in the path.
Y un grupo de republicanos aparecieron allí poniendo una demanda a la ley. Y la ley ahora pues va a las elecciones de medio término el 8 de noviembre.
So now they have put a demand to stop the law, and so there will now be a ballot referendum on November 8th.
Entonces que ahí va a ir en la pregunta 4, ¿verdad? Que es la que tiene que ver con la ley nuestra. Entonces yo, a la par que vamos a recibir un premio ahora aquí
My
también.
next step is, and Doug Nelson and all of his staff at the IBEW 223 in Taunton, where we have, at no cost to us, one of the greatest training spaces that any pre-apprentice program could have, so I'm very grateful for that. I want to say that everything Building Pathways South has accomplished has only been possible because I work with amazing women. Deb Fastino, who is the Executive Director for the Coalition of Social Justice. Marita Scott, who is our Outreach Coordinator and Case Manager, and she is here. Marita, I could not do this without you. Laura Joubert, who is our Lead Construction Instructor, and right down to Ms. Kathy Alves, who is our Accountant. So as you can see, behind every great apprentice, there are great women. About our program, Building Pathways South is rooted in the concept of preparing individuals to be the best versions of themselves as related to union apprenticeships. We are not teaching them to be plumbers and electricians. That is the job of their union of choice. We are here to teach them how to be a great apprenticeship applicant. They are supposed to come to us with nothing more than an unpolished interest in becoming a union apprentice and the desire to learn. Every step of the process is about recognizing the interest and excitement and potential in people who often don't see these things in themselves. Individuals who have found themselves in unrewarding spaces. We're about helping them realize the opportunities and benefits that union membership can offer. We are a program designed specifically to assist those in the lower income demographic with the knowledge that it often comes hand in hand with individuals who are underserved in every aspect of their lives. We have applicants who are unemployed, underhoused, who are interview etiquette novices. That's why the curriculum includes subject matter like career readiness and financial literacy. More often than not, these people don't know what they don't know. We try to select students who demonstrate that they value learning and with a lot of encouragement would make every effort to focus on improving their skills and increase their opportunities for success. We tell them that 7 weeks in the Building Pathways South, AKA Miss Yvonne's boot camp, will start them on a path to success. And we sell it. We sell obtaining the American dream through union membership in the building trades. We tell them that a lot of union members are retiring and there is a huge need for new apprentices, that they are needed. We sell it. We tell them that 83,000 new jobs are expected in offshore wind between now and 2033. And if there are 83,000 jobs available, my pre-apprentices, each one of them can get one of those jobs. We sell it. We tell them that the unions embrace diversity, recognizing that all people, no matter who they are or where they come from, deserve a chance to be successful. We sell it. And now, we just need you to buy it. Please support our pre-apprentices. We tour your facilities, open up those doors, think of 2 words, direct entry, and we'll be happy campers. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to get real. Wait a minute. I am not falling down the stairs. A picture? Oh, and I need a shoe. So I can't go back up.
So I don't get a lot of opportunities to talk about how much I appreciate the building trades. They're a group of people that I respect, and there aren't enough words to describe how much I respect every level of the building trades. The idea that a union like the building trades can take a group of people and teach them a trade where they can make a living at no cost to our government, to our state, is the most impressive thing to me. As a mom who gets to live the life of a plumber from Plumbers 51, I see the difference that it makes in his life, and I appreciate the work that you do, building trades unions, across the Commonwealth and across Massachusetts. I see you, I hear you, I appreciate you, and I honor you for all the work that you do, because it's real and it's important, and I thank you. I think the other thing, it's important for us to acknowledge that, you know what, the labor movement did not always get it right. There were times when we messed up, and things like Building Pathways South shows that we're standing up to our mistakes and we're willing to make it right, and we want to get women and people of color, we want to diversify, we want to be inclusive, we want to build this labor movement the way that it should have been the first time, and we're going to keep building this labor movement because we're going to make this a world where everybody can grow and everybody can learn and everybody can live and everybody can be successful. And we can't do that with any of you, so thank you for all that you do. Our next award is going to be presented by George Belanger, president of Teamsters 59, who we can't say enough of how much they do to support the labor movement in Southeastern Massachusetts, the Labor Council and the Labor Ed Center. George, come on up.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Lisa. Congratulations to Kim and everybody that put this event together. As Lisa mentioned, my name is George Belanger. I'm the principal officer of Teamsters Local 59 right here in New Bedford. I'm also the president of Joint Council 10 New England. And tonight I have the privilege of presenting this year's Arnold M. Dubin Memorial Award. The award is given annually to a person who is a fighter for social justice and equality, and is a celebration of Arnold Dubin, who laid the foundation for this center, which has improved the lives of countless individuals over the years. And I had spoken to Arnold's family a little earlier and let them know that I actually attended many of the certificate classes when I first started out with Jose. So again, on a personal note, I want to thank you for everything that your dad did. So thank you so much. Everything that I learned about Arnold Dubin always ended with one common theme: community and the need and desire to make it a better place for everyone, no exceptions. This describes the man who will be receiving the award tonight perfectly. Sean O'Brien is a fourth-generation Teamster who started his career at the age of 18 in the Boston area, driving heavy equipment in the rigging area. Industry. In 1999, he became a business agent of Teamsters Local 25 in Boston, and in 2006, he was elected as the youngest president and principal officer in its history. He's held several positions within Joint Council 10, New England, ultimately rising to principal officer. Throughout his time in New England, he worked tirelessly on behalf of workers, organizing thousands and striving for economic fairness, equality, and safety in the workplace. In 2011, he was elected Eastern Region Vice President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Sean isn't just a strong labor leader, he's a strong community leader. As president of Teamsters Local 25, it wasn't just about what happens at your workplace, it's about taking care of the people in the community where they live and work. Whether sponsoring a team or having a table at the high school career day, the Teamsters are a strong community partners. Sean would often show up to opening day at the Braintree Challenger League or youth hockey games to show his support. When Joint Council 10 Women's Committee shipped care packages to the military overseas, Sean went with his union sisters to the elementary school in his hometown to collect the letters and talk to the students. He has spoken at UMass labor classes and developed the Futures program at Local 25, where younger members connect with each other and learn about labor history of all unions. The program has now been replicated across many states. One of Local 25's most successful charitable endeavors is one that's very close to Sean's heart. It's been raising millions of dollars for children with autism. When the local partnered with the Higashi Autism School in Randolph, Sean drove the truck to the school and jogged with the students for their morning run. Through state and federal funding, he has helped students in city programs learn about the benefits of getting CDLs. Like Mr. Dubin, Sean is diligent in his work and dedication to the labor movement as a whole, giving workers a voice and courage to speak up for dignity and respect that they deserve in the workplace. Through extraordinary determination to move our great union forward, and with the overwhelming support of our members, he was elected General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. On March 22nd of this year, he was sworn into office and he hit the ground running. He joined with Senator Bernie Sanders and Sarah Nelson, President of the Association of the Flight Attendants Union, holding working class rallies to bring attention to the outrageous levels of corporate greed running rampant in today's society. He has testified before the Senate Budget Committee on Amazon and its anti-worker practices, and is committed to making sure that those workers are recognized for the hard work that they do every day. We here in New England have had the privilege of working side by side with Sean over the years and have experienced firsthand his intensity and extreme desire to continuously work to improve people's lives. It's infectious. There is never an I with Sean, only a we. He doesn't ask anybody to do something that he wouldn't do himself. There's no time to celebrate a victory, but more time to learn what we could have done differently to achieve an even better result. Before talking about our successes here, we must first break down what our failures were. It has to be about truth with Sean. It has to be about transparency. The changes to our union at the national level were swift and powerful under Sean's leadership. We are now positioned to be bigger, better, and stronger than ever. I never had the opportunity to meet Arnold Dubin, but I am certain that there is no better person to receive this year's award. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present this year's Arnold M. Dubin Memorial Award to my brother, my friend, and the General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Sean M. O'Brien.
Thank you very much. Madam President, thank you for your support. Thank you for your courage and conviction to fight every single day on behalf of the working people in Southeastern Massachusetts. I want to thank the Dubin family. This is a true honor and a privilege to receive an award and my name be associated with Arnold Dubin. Truly, I'll treasure this for the rest of my life. I want to thank my home local, Local 25, one of the best locals in the entire country. Great leadership under Tom Murray and his team. I want to thank George Belanger. But most importantly, I want to thank everybody in this room for their sacrifices that they've made over the years so that we try and restore a labor movement every single day. It's a fine for talking when I'm talking over there. I'm only kidding. Well, listen, here's the reality of it. We have an opportunity in the labor movement, and I think we've got to capitalize on this movement. As George stated, I'm a 32-year Teamster, fourth generation, and I had the opportunity of learning what it is to be a trade unionist sitting around my dinner table. Every person in my family is a member of the Teamsters Union. So if you went to communions, if you went to funerals, you went to weddings, you were always sitting at a table with someone that was in the Teamsters Union. So you always heard about the trials and tribulations, the struggles that went on in the workplace. It was always intriguing to me about the camaraderie and the loyalty that everybody had towards one another. Whether you liked someone or you didn't like them, whether they were a different color than you or spoke a different language, we all had a common goal and there was always a common theme. We've got to take care of one another. And one of the goals that we've had in our 212 days since we took over a 1.2 million member organization, both in the United States and Canada, Puerto Rico and Guam, is that our biggest struggle outside of fighting corporate greed, about holding crooked politicians accountable, is educating that next generation of members. And it's delightful to see organizations like UMass embracing subjects that are no longer spoken about or talked about in grade school and in high school. And it's unfortunate that we don't have a national platform or a national university where people can go to learn about the trials and tribulations of the people that came before us 100+ years, who fought long and hard to organize when there was no National Labor Relations Board, when there was no protections to organize, which still exists today, even though there are some sort of laws that are unfavorable to workers. And it's important because, unlike myself and many of us in here, the people coming into the labor movement now, they don't have that generational connection. They might not have the knowledge or know the core disciplines of what it is to be a good trade unionist. And those core disciplines, like I tell my members all the time, is to protect, preserve, and improve working conditions. And if we're not arming that next generation with the knowledge of what happened in the past, there is no way we're going to be able to move and be successful in the future. Our goal is to protect, preserve, and improve. And when this next generation doesn't understand how important it is to fight for the best health care, to make sure you fight and take on the challenges, the trials and tribulations of protecting pensions so that you can retire with dignity and maintain the current lifestyle that you enjoyed while you were working, if they don't have those core values, the values that they may have learned around their dinner table when their parents may have been dot-commers or private equity people, whatever the case may be, who were dependent upon paying 25% towards a substandard medical program, or dependent upon retiring on a 401k, which if any of us have a 401k, you've seen what's happened over the last 10 to 12 weeks. People have lost 33% of their net worth. So when you're educating these new members, or these potential leaders in the labor movement, it is paramount that we give them the most amount of knowledge, but more importantly, give them the most amount of support when we embrace this next generation who, like many of us, many of them are better than us at technology. They have different ideas, they have different approaches. We have to kind of collaborate. And I always tell people, if you truly want to effectuate change, you have to collaborate with people. And sometimes we don't do a good enough job in the labor movement. In the labor movement, sometimes we get complacent. We babysit our respective organizations and hope that, there's a dream or a prayer that's going to make us grow. And we've all seen it recently. You look at the 180 stores in Starbucks that have been organized this past year. You see what we're doing in the airline division with my sister partner from the flight attendants union, Sarah Nelson. We're out there supporting these young workers who may be under 21 years old, but understand that it's not okay for the boss to treat me bad. It's not okay for me not to be paid accordingly. It's not okay to be disrespected in the workplace. And that's what we have to do. We had great success recently at a Chipotle in Lansing, Michigan, with a Teamster local out there, where an 18-year-old girl, Sam Smith, single-handedly organized the first Chipotle store. And the reason why she did it, she didn't like the way her co-worker was being treated. She didn't like the fact that couldn't pick her shifts. Didn't like the fact that the boss just didn't care about her. So she pulled off something that many people wouldn't have the courage and conviction to do. So this next generation is dead important to our movement moving forward. We've got a lot of struggles ahead of us. We've got corporate America, companies like Amazon, the white-collar crime syndicates. They focus on neighborhoods that are distressed, highly populated with immigrant workers. They have 150% turnover ratio, and there's no path to a full-time career. And unfortunately, and I'm going to pick on the politicians because under our administration, the last 212 days, we've put these politicians on notice about these corporate white-collar crime syndicates like Amazon, Tesla, and there's many more. UPS can sometimes be considered one of those, where they just beat on their workers, there's no means to an end for a full-time career, and they recycle and destroy communities. But yet our government continues to reward bad behavior by giving billions upon billions of dollars to tech companies like Google, giving billions of dollars to Amazon to develop the cloud, when they do not treat working people with dignity and respect. So we've been calling out these politicians to make certain that they know that they're not getting Teamster money moving forward. We want to get a return on our investment, and that's part of the education process with our members. Oftentimes, I think we're all guilty as charged, we get so hung up on issues that are outside protecting the core values of working people. We pick politicians who don't have our best interests in hand. And I know sometimes we get hung up on social issues like guns and abortion and all other stuff that's very important. But as trade unionists in this room, for over 100 years, we've been fighting those battles before they were publicized. We were fighting wage equality in workplaces. We were fighting for diversity in workplaces. We were fighting to make sure that people that lived in distressed communities had an opportunity to a career path, had an opportunity to a better future. Yet we pick the wrong politicians because they might have some rhetoric or snarkiness to them that may resonate with us, instead of picking the politician who is going to help us put food on our table, help us buy a home, help us put our kids through college, and retire with a little dignity. And I got one pure example of making the right choices politically. Everybody that has a defined pension plan in there, a pension, raise your hand. Pretty significant amount of people. Anybody have a pension in here who's at risk of failing, critical and declining? Right? 200 pension funds across this country. We're going to be insolvent within 5 years, meaning that everything that you contributed or you sacrificed to build that pension was threatened. It wasn't threatened because of bad investments. It wasn't threatened because of mismanagement. It was threatened because these corporations, for the last 30 or 40 years, would destroy a company, walk away from it with zero consequences, and not pay their obligation to these funds. So in 2020, when Joe Biden was elected president, he committed to the labor movement that those 200 pension funds across the United States would be fixed. And it was all dependent upon a Senate race in Georgia. And we made the right choices in Georgia. We elected 2 senators in Georgia that year that were the deciding votes. So the pension funds were funded and fixed for the next 30 years. And if we didn't make the right choice, we would have 200 pension funds, millions of people, millions of retirees that may have to go back to work or would end up living on the streets. So that's why it's important to make the right choice. But people can't make the right choices if they're not being educated. Our biggest fight right now, there's 2 opponents. It's corporate America, white-collar crime syndicates, like Amazon, like Tesla, like the rest of them, and these crooked politicians that want to sell their souls with the hopes and promises of jobs so they can go out and brag about how they have all these jobs, how they did all this stuff with the politicians, and they take dirty money. What we've committed to do in our organization, 212 days, we're tracking their money. We're tracking where their money comes from. We're tracking their votes. We're tracking to make certain that if they are not making the right choices politically, on behalf of our rank and file members, that we're going to do what happens to us in the workplace when we don't make the right choices. We're going to fire them, and then we're going to put people in there who are going to do the right thing. Now look, that's Teamsters. I get the privilege every day to represent 1.2 million working people in industries from A to Z. Airline pilots to zookeepers and everything in between. And we are focused on organizing. We are focused on organizing this next generation. And I think in all our respective unions and our trades and our workplaces, we're going to look at what made us, our core industries, focus on organizing our competitors in the core industries, but also embracing new industries. And I know no one in here has ever smoked weed, so the Teamsters Union has a big push right now organizing cannabis workers. And these workers are being treated just like the Amazon workers. And if we're not out there looking for opportunity organizing in our respective unions, then we're going to be out of business. So we've got to make a commitment and educate this next generation how important it is to organize new members within the craft. We can no longer sit around and babysit our organizations. We also have to gear up for the fight. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention over the last several months. My union has been striking vigorously in many industries. Most recently, you saw it yesterday where we had 14 to 15 Teamsters arrested on a picket line in Cisco. Another white-collar crime syndicate that doesn't treat their workers fairly. We've been extending picket lines all over the country to make sure there's a countrywide standard on how Cisco workers will be treated. We just negotiated and settled the most lucrative contract in Cisco's history. And because of the support and fight of all of you, because there was a lot of labor unions involved, not only in Massachusetts, but nationwide when we were extending picket lines, we're going to leverage neutrality where everybody that goes to work at Cisco will have the opportunity to be a union member at some point in time. That's the power of collaboration. That is engaging in the fight. And look, everybody takes a position sometimes, and we all do it. That has nothing to do with me. I'm going to stay away from it. But this fight today that you don't engage in might be coming to a fight near you next week where you're going to be looking for that same support. So often 2 times, don't think it can't happen to you. Someone mentioned the UPS agreement. That is the largest collective bargaining agreement in the entire country. 350,000 Teamsters, and it's a global company. It's a global company that employs many, many Teamsters, like I just said. But it's going to be our most formidable opponent. Every corporation, every politician, every labor union is watching what the Teamsters are going to do because it's the largest collective private contract in the entire country. And if we fail at the table, which we're not going to fail, I can promise you that, because we will put their asses on the street if they're not afraid to do it, and we have the resources to do it, then everybody else in here is going to have trials and tribulations because of lack of support and because we didn't take on the fight. But that's not going to happen, I can promise you that. We've got 350,000 members. We have a $350 million strike fund. And we have members, younger members, 67% of UPS, are part-timers under the age of 25, who are engaged, who are capable, who want to take on this fight. And if we are not going to the table, whether it's UPS or any of our other industries that we represent, and we're not negotiating and fighting for the hardest, best contracts in our respective industries, then we are going to fail miserably at organizing, because this next generation, they want to see the template of what they're going to get when they join a union. So if we get the best UPS agreement, it's going to make it that much easier when I go to the Amazon worker who's doing the same job for $5 less with no benefits, no pensions, no protections. It's going to make our jobs that much easier to organize. And the one thing we have to do a better job at is defining who the common enemy is. The common enemy isn't around our dinner table right here, because we're a family. Families can sit around a dinner table like they did at mine, and we had spirited debate, maybe a little physical assault every once in a while. Spirited debate, where you can speak freely, you can voice your opinions, you can criticize, all with the common goal of developing a strategy. And when you walked outside that door, that common enemy wasn't around your dinner table. That common enemy was the white-collar crime syndicates that we go to work for every day, or those crooked politicians that we may have to deal with. Those are the common enemies. The common enemies aren't in this room. So if we're going to argue, we're going to fight, we're going to scream, let's do it around our dinner table, and let's not let our neighbors like corporate America and the politicians capitalize on any crack in our armor. And that's a core value that everybody I know has grown up with around their dinner table. It's corporate America, and these politicians are going to, we have a vision, no longer any division, that we have a plan to make this labor movement bigger, faster, stronger. We're going to protect, preserve, and improve. And I got a message for corporate America, I got a message for these crooked politicians, and I have a message for anybody that wants to take on organized labor moving forward. It's a full contact sport. Put your helmets on and buckle your chin straps. Thank you very much.
Not every day that we get one of our own in Massachusetts to become an international president. Sean O'Brien, you're an example for the rest of us. We're proud of you. You do us proud. We love you, and we got your back. This would not be a union event if we didn't do a little bit of good and welfare. So for Teamsters, Local 653, Cisco workers who settled that strike, we love you, we thank you, great job. Shout out to Teamsters 653. Shout out to the Malden teachers who, against the law, took the stand to go on strike and stand up for what they felt was right, to stand up for the principles that they believe in. They settled their contract. We are with you. Shout out to the behavioral teachers who also went on strike, who are still out on strike tonight. We have faith that they've reached an agreement but are working out their return to work agreement as we speak. But we are with you and we support you. And then just to bring it a little bit local to the New Bedford Paras in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
They just keep taking it on the chin. And they keep saying, we're not going to take it. And they keep saying it's not good enough. And I just want you to know that we got your back. We're with you. And we're proud of you. Don't back down. Stand for what you believe is right, and we're going to keep having your back. So that's the end of our night, guys. It's been a long night, but we thank you for being here. We look forward to the next one.